the land for food self-sufficiency, something the Gambian leaders strongly believe is the only way to fight hunger and poverty, and accordingly earn someone dignity and pride. Year in, year out, he keeps leading by example of going back to the land and always comes up with new ideas and innovation to attain his vision for the good of all and sundry. Mr. Usman Jasi, the president of Karon Association. Today you descended on one of H's groundnut farm here in Kanilai. Why the need for complementing the clarion call of the president to go back to the land?
First and foremost, we know the type of president we have. He has the country's interest at heart, and it is therefore fitting for every Gambian to keep abreast with what he wants. That is for us to have food self-sufficiency. As his slogan is, grow what you eat, eat what you grow. If you empower yourself, you will be free from everything. And that is why, as an association, as a group of people, we are behind him today and forever.
But would one be right to say that you are doing this thing for the president or doing it for the entire nation?
We are doing it first and foremost as Gambians because we want to contribute to the development of the Gambia. But secondly and most importantly, to also support the president's clarion call for all Gambians to go back to the land so that we can be self-sufficient in food. Once we have enough food in the country, we will not need to buy imported food. And if we don't buy imported food, we will be more empowered because our resources that are going to buy imported stuff will be with us. So the president's clarion call should be heard by everybody in good faith. The man means well. If you look at this farmland, the products of this farmland will not be used by the president alone. It is here for the whole nation. And it is for all of us Gambians to come together and support this very important call for us to be self-sufficient in what we eat. We are Karoninkas. Our motto is, how do we support each other in sustaining our livelihoods? And how do we contribute towards the bigger national goal? Therefore, when we come here, we are not seeing our work here as helping. We are seeing our work here as doing something for ourselves, because we believe whatever comes out of here will go for all of us. And therefore, it is our duty to also contribute towards that good attitude that the president has for everybody in the Gambia. The man is out to help all Gambians, irrespective of whether you like him or not. And it is clear from what he is doing. If you look around here, you will see a vast land of groundnuts. Now these groundnuts, if they are okay, Yahya Jammeh is not going to use this. This is for Gambians, and it is every Gambian's duty to come and help to make sure that he succeeds in what he wants.
Yeah. What message do you have for other Gambians who are watching you right now as far as nation building, especially of this nature, is concerned?
Well, the broad message I have for Gambians is, let us not see all this as Yahya Jammeh. Yahya Jammeh is one Gambian who wants progress for the Gambia. And if all of us Gambians want progress, let us support the good initiatives he is bringing to everybody's doorsteps. And I think every Gambian, if you are sincere, you should like Yahya Jammeh for what he is doing.
Bal mame F Sanyang Batabut Kantora la Alcalo Alfanan Filan Nata Mabe President la Tia Kunku Bato Jang Minkata Bisivitori butun al tarajang butun sa foi ko atel Allah inna dalilo mena atina kumata fo ali Allah hajor bula pour kanaja
alhamdulillah rabbil alamin alhamdulillah rabbil alamin alhamdulillah rabbil alamin mbe mol be kontonna mbe president o kontonna mbe yalon ko Gambia bi hajol be atele ya duni mbe mol be kontonna men be Gambia anatol fana mbal kontonna nyindo ko kumayatale parce que ndengaje ko nyindo ko manna president o ma koyde natam fan sundo ko lela parce que men ka soto jang president o kawale taka dépense mol bu ka karamo jodi ningoliye okay anin ku jama nyina fango ajibe hani me yalon ko lunch ngamen di ningola abe botal president o le adoku ado sa o mo sifa natata ka doku mol ka fa ko ndata president o le mako natam fango la do ko lela natam fango la do ko la de akuma yata bake pour molena ka do ko ke ja nyin kun koye president o atra nata fangole
amanke kana ka president mako la munta nyumu banko fon banko dum fon la
ko leti nyumu farlo leti pour momo nyanta na la jang yedo ko ke parce que ya kamen do ko Gambia jang abuka do ko mo kiliye abuka do ko adiye abuka do ko Kanilai aka do ko fonyi be Gambia be le anafaji adonga nafaka bu munto jannem yaje woto ka do ko ke president o mu farlo leti farlo le ma anyantale momo nga do ko kyaye
so munta sai afele alni fonni kewol nata han dindungol fon be balkon
bage
wo ite amana wo mun tamarser le tendi jang
kano aning ngam fan kanule parce que ni me fan kanu wala ka fon tete ta president o ya men me fan kanu e mala fi fanna wala ka fon ta president be ni lafte fanna e yanta na lale parce que bi dinu wol fon ngadolo talale fan dol nin kombo e ko tol binale e kamune foy ko e tol bi la karamo la sonia be e ko ya yale kaake oto tol anyanta le yena
amunta man ko kamin fo ni be ko kula e finance
wolem ku jolal ko anala ku ja kanyiteni yak e kane onyo apo nyite fara foli bo e ko nayoli e kono e to finance o manole woto wolem ya dalaka ate kam bele ku abkadulatu ya men do ko nyimban koto finkinte wolemu men bu ke jewo men bu ke moywo ya jele ko ya do ko ce Gambia bankoto
nyara kamara butu fana mabeta jang ibe musol kono ina albe kewol kono alnata do ko wala jang amunta nin do ko de akumatal de fanna falom de
akumayatale kay nin do ko akumayatale ni ajen nata jam president bala kunkot akala kumayale atin nata jan tolla sate woto batabut kantora musol bele bi jahnin kewol tol fana nata president wala kunko do ko wala
albe ni ke kam president o le fo
ma ke kam fangole
mun dalila kam
because of member atinala na Gambia etanyato wala atin nata pour ka president bamma ko do ko wala
amunta manke ko
lafta Gambia la nyato tala wala atin tol fana kafta mol la mina ko kana president wala do ko wala wala kantoran ko fana sija chawol ni musul bele bicha o ketanye kontane batin se wotal president bala do ku kendo abe minna wala tan tol fanan kafuta kan kana ka ma ko memba tinala na Gambia simango e sonia wala atin na sate mol fanan na ta kafu do ko lalfe jang
sai president jikita musol la baka banko kan president andal fel almantu koma atel kantora musol
woji ko le atin na kantora musol be na ta jang katun president o ma musol murundi koma president o e musol la nyanto dila wole kontano le atina musol be na taka kafuja president bala kunkola ka do ko ke mimba atina la konko bay musol be le kontanta wole musol be sija musol nin cewol kantoran kol be le nata le fo bo so fata tep o kontano le atina ala do ku kendo abe minna ane ay sembo min di musol la wole atina musol hameta ina taka mabe president bala kunkola
to dima fa
to mu nyara kamara le
nyara kamara barka baka
ngaju nyetati jat an fana te kuseka katika faati Kanilai an fana ololi kadi nyasi angone tajum tate ma sanken to bare ngiri bom maniri bonya kom min ka sanken oke puru jat ngol no sanken bu kanade ko wolen ku jam ka fa yole let Kanilai be mandina be bu jiling be bu lund be nyefi elekunda uli burom ko katate kantimba uli tubu ko katate baro ju ko ja jole an fana won ko jaat nu jolu yingo buraka buba bagi sembe fam mo bagi kumaya e juwe ya yoito e bage ya yoito e sima ya po yoito kantu buraka manu wakala nye babe fonyi uro ko wafo bangan la ñu ngamuri wan kuro ko banta la banta tenye wala tungolen ujitu mo baba won gikernya hani be gat kana ko wonto ko bagi juwe kantu mangit ana wana roke muriya mola maseni muri barni mo mana ro kunya bajangata ubu aw manje mo rokbo meno aw manje mo kambo meno upuri no ja po fo muri e mana purok potam muri bare mo puri untenga wonto mangi ana wana roke mo kana eroke e buraka betani fana buba solo fanfa mo ba ko wafan mangi one wasumo di bukanako wabagi juwe bukanako wan ho wani wawdi buraka wabagi nafa bukanaka gewunye ko nu tuni safi saf bisima yoli digata kende ayoli wono wani wali wanko woni di bigte bolem takan ko bagen uji ko jawul poko sa ke ken la ka sofora ko ma murok be kay sen fana on bona rege duniye mata kila awanya je akila awanya de kana kila mo famola ko wangol taju ko wanya kati mo famola est ce que yo jajak yo kamule pure amo sanna jukoli murok ko nan fana rego non wana wonkum pokano wana ya buraka baraka baba e buraka betu muriya muri baba gi nafadi aw baba gi sembe baba gi ejuwe ka jamora koguto di mbayere te faso ro ko jamu nandi buntu ngabi ya muri wano wani wano bajo mo nandi buntu ngabi ya pangi jamodi bukana ki ya pangi jamodi di mbaye ejuwe yeto nafa yeto kunyela kutu akamrika karanga pungonu ukiani to eko kerembunga yoli wakami ulani fana won ko janu jo kuseka buron kammi babe ni safi tu ano ani amtade de juela ni safo sa aye masale fo babili masale ba kele busuma ke momedi lamini fa mariama Jammeh fa Mansa kele mai ni bara anye masale tambo babili masale ba Gambia masale foto babili masale ba Yahya Jammeh le foto babili masale ba Kanilai Senegambia Jammeh le foto Babili Yahya Jammeh le foto Babili Jambure unikera wani Gambia musuluko alinde musoni kinibara Yahya Jammeh le foto Babili Gambia musale foto Babili
Excellency, here we are witnessing very important exercise, specifically on palm tree seedling plantation. People will have expect His Excellency to be engaged into rice cultivation all the time, but this time around you've taken a different dimension. What is the significance behind palm tree plantation towards socio-economic development of the country, the Gambia?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you for your question. I want every Gambian to remember that when we say eat what you grow and grow what you eat, if you look at the market today, palm oil is the most expensive cooking oil. Why? Because it's scarce here, and that is why the price is so high. So when you grow rice, one does not expect anyone to be eating white rice all the time, only cooking rice with salt and water only. You need to put in something, and that something most likely, if you want super kanja, of course you need palm oil. And so where we buy where palm oil is brought from, those were planted. I see no reason why in the Gambia also we cannot be self-sufficient in palm oil production. Now in those days, in the 60s, we used to be self-sufficient, but due to the drought, most of the natural palm trees are gone, And so we have to replant them, and that is what we are doing now, to be self-sufficient not only in rice and cereal production, but also in what goes with the cooking. If you want cow food, super kanja, whatever you need, palm oil. And that is why today I'm engaged in palm tree plantation.
Your Excellency, we visited women on few of your farms. Yes. One groundnut and the other side cornfield.
Yes.
But they stress that you've been doing almost everything for the Gambian people.
Yes.
Yet still you don't want to relax, to give the chance of the people to complement the effort of your government. But you still want to continue doing it.
The reason being I'm a leader, but I'm also a servant of the people because I lead people. And for people to know what the leader wants, it has to be both theory and practice. And I don't want to be a theoretical leader who sits in an air-conditioned office and talks about what should be done. I lead by example. I lead doing practical work for people to see. I am also a natural born farmer. Farming is in my blood. But if I were sitting down all the time since 1995 telling people to go to the farm, what would be the misguided and unpatriotic parasites called opposition say? You see, he's telling everybody to go to the farm, but he has not been to the farm. Actually, I'm not doing it for the opposition not to say anything, because I don't give a damn what they say. But what I want people to understand is that as a leader, you should practice what you preach. That is expected of an imam or a priest. An imam shouldn't say, don't drink alcohol, and then you find him drunk in a bar. Then people, next time, nobody is going to pray behind him. And because of 30 years of decadent rule, where farmers are also seen as misfits or failures in society or uncivilized people, because in those days, if you are a farmer, you are a cutler. So in order for people to know that farming was the first profession of the human being and is one of the most noble professions, I as a president have to go to the farm for people to know that being a president doesn't exempt you from working on the farm. And that is why, thanks to the Almighty Allah, we are so successful in agriculture. But that is only thanks to the women, because you said you went to the farm, but you only found the women. I did not invite only the women to come and help. I invited the village to come. But all these days, the majority of the people that come are women. And I salute the Gambian women. Because without the Gambian women, this country would have been starving. Because even Narika that is introduced, all the Narika farmers that have maybe up to 200 tons of paddy rice are all women. When you go to the village saving and credit association, you find out that the majority of the account holders, they are all women. If the men replicate what the women are doing, this country wouldn't be hungry. And so I am very grateful that the women are following my call. And if you can go around the country, you will find out that 90% of all students, both male and female, if it were not for their mothers, they would not be going to school. If they don't get a scholarship from either PEJEP or the government or Jammeh Foundation or an international organization. Imagine if the men also volunteer and go to work. The amount of rice or cereals we can produce in this country will make us self-sufficient even by 2015. But unfortunately, the men are still to respond. Now, when I talk about agriculture, then youths also will write to me, yes, we want to answer to your call back to the land, but we need tractors. Did you see a tractor here? I'm transplanting palm tree. Did you see a tractor? So let us understand that the tractor's work is limited. It can only plow, but it's not going to weed the farm for you or harvest it for you. And that is why, so don't use mechanization as an excuse. Go and farm. When we were going to school, even up to high school, and even when I joined the army, I used to come back and work on the farm. So let us go back to the farm. If you have a holiday, go to the farm. If you have leave, go to the farm. Because what you produce is for your own good. many people now have realized, especially the civil servants, that they make a lot of savings when they have at least 3 or 4 hectares of rice and they have about 20 bags of rice. That would have saved them buying rice every month. And that adds to the income. Then the little money you have can be used for other things. But unfortunately, most of the households, if the women do not sweat and bring food to the table, the children will starve, unfortunately. Yes.
Gambia masale foto Babili masahini bara Yahya Jammeh foto Babili masahini bara
I went round and I've seen that some of the fields we have to replow them because they are overtaken by the weeds. And even if we weed it now, the plants that are, the crops that are there are so weak that it is better to replace them. So I am appealing to Gambians to come and help. But special appeal is to URR and CRR. Because today, now when I talk about men not going to work, it doesn't include CRR and URR because they are some of the most hard-working farmers in this country. And so I want them to come and assist me this week because beyond this week it's going to be very difficult for me because the grass has overtaken the corn. It is yet to overtake the millet. But if it continues like this for another week, it is better to replow everything. And you know that these are large swathes of farms. And of course also with regards to granules, I think you have seen that the granite also is almost being overtaken by the weeds. So I'm appealing to people from URR and CRR to come and help me, if possible from Tuesday up to Sunday we will be able to finish it. And then they can continue and go and do their work. But that is not only those regions. I also want the LRR, West Coast region and North Bank region. Now, if you are not ready to work, don't come. I'm not here to see anybody. So if you think that, oh, let me go to the farm so that I can talk to him, you are not going to talk to me. I'm appealing to people to come and help, both men and women, youth, male or female. Now, if you come by regions, yeah, now, we used to have thousands of people and see that what they have cleared is less than 1 hectare. This is not going to happen this time. Every region will be given an area so that at the end of the day, we will know who worked hard and who didn't work hard. So I'm appealing to the whole country, including Casamance and Senegal. Anybody who can come and help from Tuesday up to Sunday, you are most welcome. Those with the hose, those with cutlasses, and those with kajandak. Everybody is invited. The women can come and help carry the grasses so that we clear the farms. Because I know after the end of next week, most of what you have seen would be declared failure and we have to replow it and maybe put sesame or something else, which I don't want to do because it's going to be a terrible waste. So I am appealing to all Gambians from this Tuesday onwards to come and help me clear these farms so that I can go to CRR where I have my rice field. You realize that this year there's not much of rice production because we have huge areas in CRR and URR that has natural water, that is the river Gambia. Because you remember that all these years, sometimes you see up to 4 hectares not harvested because the rice was late and it dries up here very quickly. So rather than waste time again, now that we have CRR and URR, all the rice production, cultivation is shifted to CRR and URR. Yes.
Finally,
and for rice production, I want to thank the people of CRR and URR, especially Fladu, the Fanafanas, and everybody there. because they have done a lot. I know that the fields are very big, but I have no cause to complain. I'm grateful to the Almighty Allah for giving me Gambians like that. Here in Fonyi, we have to invite until the invitation card is about to expire. Then they start coming in trickles. Alhamdulillah. In Sierra, they come by turns. They always call Balde and say, we are coming this day, and they come in large numbers. And when they come, they don't sit around or walk around. They walk from 8 up to 7, and then they go home. And that is what I expect of people who are coming here. If you are wearing a waramba, by the time you leave the truck, don't come to the farm with a waramba. Because if you do so, I'm going to send you home. You are coming to work. I see no reason why you come with a waramba and an umbrella and say you are working, and then you are walking around, waiting for the president to come. I have something to tell him. I'm not here for that. Yes.
Your Excellency, 2016 is in top tier in the Gambia, especially among the women folk. I was fortunate to go with the National Women Mobilizer across the country. What you have just talked about, the contribution of women has been attested, especially URR, CRR. So this is, your call is being responded positively, hugely by the Gambian women, especially 2016, which is of significant agenda for all Gambians to embrace for our own good.
Yes, I've always said it, and I'll continue to say so. If you are not grateful to human being, you can never be grateful to the Almighty Allah. Since the beginning of the July 22nd revolution, if it were not the Gambian women, in terms of agriculture, as I said, we would have failed in a lot of things. All these projects like Narika, whatever, LADEP, is because of the Gambian women. And Narika Rice Farmers Association, and today, if you go to Sierra now, you'll find people selling Gambian produced rice, and therefore this imported rice is not moving a lot there. And so, if everywhere that have fresh water or paddy fields, if they do the same thing and upland, hunger, we will say goodbye to hunger in 2015 by the grace of the Almighty Allah. Also, I am very grateful to GRTS because they have been showing my activities since 1994. And all honest Gambians would agree with me that all my meetings from 94 to date, 98% of the attendants are all women. And the women have never wavered in their support for the government and for the development of this country. And that is why, if I have to give them my blood, I will do so, so that they will also live like proud people in this country. Wealthy people, for that matter. By the grace of Allah, 5 years from now, I think if you want to tell your wife, I want a new wife, you will be thinking of where to stay. Because the house will belong to her, everything will belong to her, and the woman you want to marry would also tell you, if you don't have money, I'm not going to feed you. Just as now where people say, maybe she loves me because of my money. In fact, now it's becoming very rare. Every woman you see, she is wealthier than the husband in most cases. Despite the fact that they take care of school fees, they take care of clothing the children, a better shelter, they go and buy mosquito spray, and we the men are just sitting down. And this is very unfortunate. If you go to Senegal, you see men walking. But you don't need to go to Senegal, in fact. The river Gambia, that is the only activity where in one day you can come up with $300,000 worth of fish. Allah has given us the sea and the river with a lot of marine resources. Unfortunately, these resources have to be harvested by foreigners and sold to us at the price they like. And we have no choice. This is very unfortunate. You go to the coastal area now, the fish landing site. The only Gambians that we find there are women. The men are sitting down. especially the youth, everybody wants to go to Europe. Europe is broke. And you go only to end up in a maximum Nazi-style prison called asylum seekers camp. Why don't they allow CNN to go to those camps? Because they are worse than prison. Now, you have never stolen here. You have never gone to the police station for whatever reason. And you go there lying to say, I'm looking for asylum because Jammeh is bad. Then they put you in prison. And you know that you could be here 100 years. No policeman would, if you don't commit a crime, no policeman would know you. Here we are fighting crime, we are not going to encourage crime. Sometimes you think that, oh, if I go to Europe and sell maybe half a kilo of cocaine, then I come with a car and all the guys will run after me. Now the Gambian guys are very, very awakened. They are determination, they are dignified. And if you look at most of these female soldiers and police women, and look at what they are doing. They all have plots of land, and by the time they have 5 years or 7 years of service, they have their own compounds. So don't think that, oh, I have my beautiful compound, and so let me follow this guy, she will follow me. She comes to your compound, she says, oh, are you a goat dealer? You want me to stay in this house? I'm not going to stay, I have my own house. Now if you want to marry me, you marry me, but you come to my house. You know, if you live in your wife's house, she tells you when to, especially when you are not even providing food, she tells you when you should have breakfast, when to have dinner, and lunch, and when to go to bed. And of course, going for another woman is out of the question. So to avoid all that, let us emulate the Gambian woman. The Gambian women, especially the old ones, are very independent. Now, in fact, you hear them say, well, Subuge said, Kai, not them you are because man, I'm not kid, smoker la deka, Nanyo pack bagasami. Ganya Nina Al-Quran wahut lulu. Al-Quran was not kwadi. They said the Quran didn't say that. Of course. They say you can marry up to 4 wives, provided you can take care of them. Now, if you cannot take care of them, and you want them to take care of you, that's haram. So don't marry 4 wives, because you think that if this one gives me 500, the other gives me 500, in a month I have $2,000. That is exploitation, and that will not be tolerated by my government. So let us all go to the farm, let us sweat, let us grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Yes.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Thank you. And even Yahya is welcome to come with hosts now, and not mics.
No problem, sir.
Yeah.
Even one cultivates a small plot of land where he can produce something for himself and his family is in line with his Vision 2016. Thus, it's by putting into practice and not just stop at saying it, as always demonstrates by the Gambian leader himself, leading by example. The issue of rice importation will be sooner than later a thing of the past.
Well, if you look at this group, there are 2 groups in called Pinorai. Pinorai is, in Jola, what Pinorai means is let us tie our belts. Okay, Mulchen means let's endure and do and walk. That is, let us persevere and walk. But you'll be surprised that these people, these two groups are comprised of about 10 villages. Okay. But you see the number of people that are here. These are the people that normally come every day. And then when I give something to those people that come, they say, oh, he has given it to the group.
Yeah, to the village.
No, he has given it to the group and they don't report. And that is why I think we saw somebody with a book. Now what we do is when you come to work, we write your name, what time you have to come to work, and also they will be watching you. If you are sitting down all the time, they put an X. That means you showed your face, but you didn't work. So for that day, if you have more X's than checks or correct, then you will not have anything. And that is why you see they move where they are tired, some will rest and others will be doing the work. You see, before we came, they were on the other side. But I think they wanted to be around here and they did so quickly. And so now we are going back to the other side and they'll have to turn around and go to that side. I hope they will complete this place tomorrow. What they are doing, they are clearing. And I think this is a Philippine pink granite called Philippine pink. And you see that it also needs weeding. Yes. For us to have an optimal harvest, maximum harvest, we really have to weed it now. And that is what we are going to do. That's why I'm appealing. Because if you don't weed this, what is going to happen is that the granules will just grow tall, but the yield will be very low. And then you realize that the nuts also will be very small. So that is why they are clearing the shrubs. And then after that, we are going to get some people to come and weed. Yes.
Okay. So, Your Excellency, some will come here, to swallow their pride, to make sure that at least they respond to your call, not necessarily coming here in the form of eye service. That's what I can understand from what you've just explained. So, meaning it does not necessarily mean that Your Excellency has to be around for people to work.
I also want to thank the resident refugees
of Okasmas.
Yes. Yeah. And also I want to thank Fonyi Bondali. In the Fonyis, they are number one.
Fonyi Bondali.
Whether I'm around or I'm not around, they all come and work. And what if you have gone to the farm called Kawur, you will see how clean it is of all wheat. And the infant president was very impressed, and even the Minister of Agriculture, because it's Fonyi Bondali that is now competing with Fonyi Jaron. Each time they come, they mess and they say, if you don't finish this, we are not going home. And they have done a great job. So definitely Fonyi Jaron and Fonyi Bondali, I owe them a debt of gratitude. But one thing I can assure them also is that from here to December, by the grace of the Almighty Allah, they will not buy food. Yes.
But they are also saying there are people, I don't think it's exactly those people, but we met some group of people who are saying that this work, they are not doing it for you, Your Excellency. They are doing it for for themselves, because the produce plow back to them, to the Gambian people, in the area of agriculture, health and education.
Yes, in fact now I have changed my policy, because before people ask for assistance and I help blindly. And of course a lot of associations. But now assistance is based on what you do during the rainy season. Now most of the associations are not around, they are not coming. And then by December, or in fact even September, they start writing, we need this, we need this, we want to organize this. I'm not going to assist anybody who has never come to work here. And that is my policy now. Yes. But yes, they see the farms as their farms. So also is the whole of CRR and the whole of URR. They are telling people, we don't want the president to be here for us to come. In fact, what we want to make sure that we don't want him to bend down to pick up anything, any grass or do any work. We want to make sure that by the time he comes here, he only has to walk around, but he has no work to do, because whatever is produced here, we know that it is for us. He's producing for the Gambian people, because if it is to feed himself or if it is a question of money, he's not going to do the farming. So they own it, and that is the reality. And so the more you work, also we have a register there, but people, when they come, nobody tells somebody, get up, let's work. They just continue to work. Okay? And so I hope others also would emulate. But I must really thank Fomi Bondali and Fomi Jaron. For now, the records that I got from the farm coordinators, Fomi Bondali is number 1, seconded by Fomi Jaron. Now, in fact, Fomi Jaron is aware of the fact that Fomi Bondali has taken the lead, and now they are competing. But it will be very difficult to undo or overtake Fomi Bondali, because from the start, they started with seriousness. Yes.
Okay, so people can take
and
examples.
The refugees from Casamas too, that are around Fomi Kansala. Yes. Okay. And of course, Marakisa Ward and the Kajanak, both in the Gambia and Casamas. Each time they come, they look at the field. In fact, they are the ones who plowed this field. Yes, otherwise a lot of grass would have been here by now. But they plowed it, and then they planted they sowed the granules, and now they say they are coming back to help me clear certain areas where the crops have failed, and because of the grass, they are coming back to help me plow that, so that you know that we can. Most people don't know that for you to have a better yield of millet, what we call sanyo, is to transplant it. When you transplant it, the grains are bigger and better. Okay. Why? Because when you plant them with your hand, we put a lot of them in one hole, and so they cluster. So if you don't reduce it, thin them out, they're going to just grow tall, but the produce is going to be small, because you have too many together, and then they fight for food. It's like when you put too many children
on one small basin.
In one small basin. Yes. So now we notice that when you transplant, you have a better yield than just sowing it and leaving it. So now what we are doing, we are taking from the area that has more millet, and then transplanting, and that's what we are doing now. Yes. Okay.
Gambia masale foto Babili masahini bara Yahya Jammeh foto Babili masahini bara Sekuna Babili masahini bara Birikama Babili masahini bara Bakao Babili masahini bara Bandul Babili masahini bara Mansa Basse Kanilai Senegambia Jammeh foto Babili masahini bara Yahya Jammeh foto Babili masahini bara.
This is the pineapple. Yes. And normally the pineapple, from transplanting to harvest, it should be 2 years, maximum 2 years, 5 months. This is the second year, and it started fruiting. And they complained to me that there are some insects, there are some pests. But thank God, when I went to America, I bought pesticides and fungicides, because also we have the problem with the fruit fly with regards to my mangoes. So we are going to take care of that tomorrow. Yes. Yes. This is the way it is. It is very nice. It's very sweet.
This can be extended to other areas.
We have a pilot project in I think Banjulundi. Yes, we have the acreage is big. They wanted to bring most of it. I said, give it to those people, community farms, because it's a cluster of villages that benefit from that farm. So it is better to give it to them. And I took only a few and then brought it here. Yes, they started from there. Yes. But I asked for this variety from the president of Taiwan because this is the latest variety, and normally it doesn't go out because it was just the beginning. But when I spoke to him, he told me there's no problem. Whatever you want, we can give it to you. We will try it in the Gambia. Because if you look at it, if Guinea-Conakry can produce pineapples, why not the Gambia? If Senegal can produce the pineapple, why not the Gambia? Yeah, we have the same ecology, and that is why we also want to diversify. Rather than import some of these things, we should be able to grow it ourselves. Yes.
Every time you go outside the Gambia, you see anything good, anything nice, your wish is for every Gambian to have access to it. Meaning, your intention is if you can make everybody a millionaire.
Of course. But of course, even if I wish to, I can't. Because nobody expects to sit down and I work for you now. After 20 years of serving people, you don't expect me to be giving you all the time. For 20 years, a baby who fails to stop breastfeeding will be weaned by force after 3 years. If you are a very good farmer, as a sort of encouragement, I send you to the Hajj. You perform the Hajj, then anybody who wants to go to the, any able-bodied person who wants to go to the Hajj and have no wherewithal, let him be a good farmer and then he can go to the Hajj, inshallah. Yes. But what I'm saying doesn't include the women.
Yeah, because for them
No, I cannot do that to the women. No. The Manigo said, you don't tell a snake that time, because snakes are always lying down. Yes. You know, in those days, they used to cook this for eating. Yes. Now, if you cut the straw and you put the sap into your nose, you're going to sneeze. Yes. If you dig the root, dry it and pound it, it is very good for cyanosis or blocked nose. Yes. And in those days, if you eat this during this time of the year, after the end of the rainy season, you will never have malaria. You know, there was this program about marriages, why they don't last, and there were so many theories. But the problem today also is that most of these young girls cannot cook. Now, how can I have a wife who cannot cook for me, and you expect somebody to be coming to cook for me? They cannot cook, they cannot launder your clothes, they cannot even iron. What type of a wife is that? So, normally when you have such a wife, it's going to cost you money because you have to find somebody who's going to cook, pay for her. Somebody who's going to sweep the house, pay for her. Somebody who's going to close and pay for her. So you have to employ 3 employees for the sake of 1 wife. Now, if you have 3 wives that do not speak to each other, what you provided for 1 wife, you have to provide for all. So now if you have 3 wives, you have 3 wives plus your children and 9 servants that you have to pay. How much are you earning, or how much are you getting from your business to take care of that? So that's why you see a friend of your wife who cares more about you than your wife and does the work, cares for you. Well, you want a good wife who takes care of you the way you take care of her. So you take a good one that can cook and can take care of laundry. So, but the other problem that we have is the fact that most of the marriages are gone into in a rush. One, due to parental pressure, peer pressure and materialism. You see somebody with a nice Rolls Royce comes around once, twice, hey, that is my intended, my fiancé. You don't even know the man. You don't even know whether he has stolen those things. You don't know. Then the parents said, hey, let this man not escape you. Hey, every girl is running after this man. Marriage is not about wealth. Marriage is about faith, belief in God, the Almighty. Because know that whatever Allah has not destined for you, if you want to have it, you are asking for trouble. So you marry somebody and you don't even know. Because Allah decides when to give and when to withdraw it. The man that they are talking about being a big man, chof or super kujali, can become the worst yai boy. And then you start bringing in. Now when he used to come with the Rolls Royce, everybody welcomes him. They get drinks, whatever he doesn't want, they pamper him with because he has money. The moment they know that the money is finished, and then he comes, hey, Mansa, because the money is finished. So if you marry for wealth, if I know that you are marrying me because of my wealth, then there I know it you go. Because I don't want a wife who loves my money, but a wife who loves me. Because I can be poor at any time. So if you are loving me because of money, that's not the thing. Now, the danger in it also is the fact that if you see somebody wealthier than me, you will go with him because all what you are interested in is money. And then you start saying, hey, dama gena, dama defli. So also is the man. If he knows that he can use money to get you, know that if he sees somebody who also is as materialist as you and maybe more beautiful, is going to leave you and go and marry another person. And we have seen a trend where there are people in this country, especially in the greater Banjul area, and I know all their names. Every 6 months they marry and divorce. And if they continue like that, they are going to jail. Because I'm going to make sure that if you divorce a woman with children, you have to pay the woman child support whether you like it or not. Because you can also go like a he-goat, marry him for 3 weeks, get her pregnant and go after another and then abandon her. That's not going to happen in this country. So before I start hitting people, let the elders go and tell them. If you have children, and start telling them, Aksadomi, if I get hold of you, you will regret why you have seen the face of a woman. Billahi wallah ta'ala. Because this practice now is going on. Some people come with borrowed cars and start jumping from one girl to another. But the girls also must really respect themselves. Because with so many diseases, especially when you see somebody from outside, he doesn't pray, you don't know how he's getting his money, and then they start pushing, hey, you know, we don't have a fridge, Casper, we are always having a problem, and this man is here to help. He's here to help. How are you sure he's going to help? If I want your daughter, I'm not helping you, I'm helping myself. So whatever I do, you know that as soon as I get your daughter as my wife, I may not do it. Especially with these foreigners. One has to be very careful. And I'll also advise, if you are marrying anybody, make sure that the person you go through HIV test. Some people have insurance cover, and when they are HIV positive, they are paid insurance, and they come here and fool these girls and transmit the disease. You know that we have a limited capacity to treat people. Because the only amount of people up to today, the maximum number of people we can take is just 100. Because of the problem of capacity. We don't have a place big enough. So, let us not be so materialistic that we forget the virtues of our religion, be it Christianity or Islam. Remember that whatever you are supposed to get from the Almighty Allah, nobody on the face of this earth can prevent you from getting that. People should stop selling their daughters. Sometimes you see somebody, an old man like me, then a friend comes from somewhere of my own age group, and then I look at my daughter and this one is my friend, is your uncle. Yeah, he lives in, he's in this hotel, and I know he's wealthy. I say, oh, why tomorrow don't you take him out and show him around? And so she comes back, Daddy, I say, why did you come so early? You didn't chat with him. What are you encouraging her to do? Or sometimes they tell you, oh, you are more beautiful than this army. And you see what army is coming home with? And we are always poor, we can't even pay cash power. And we are more beautiful. And sometimes I say, and Lala, you again, Tegala or whatever. Tega or not Tega, we are all the creation of the Almighty Allah. All this caste system is nonsense, is ungodly, is un-Islamic. Don't judge people by their class, judge them by their religion and what they do, good or bad. Okay? Then they start encouraging. Mommy, I want to, don't them feel some man, you expect me to get it for you. I'm not going to get it for you. Man mange genata. What are you encouraging your daughter to do? Yes, to go and sell herself. We are sick and tired of feeding you. Since you were a baby up to now, you have never brought anything as beautiful as you are. Whenever you talk about beauty, you're telling her to go and sell herself. And there are disastrous consequences. She can fall into the hands of a criminal who will strangle her and go home. She will be beaten. There are certain cases also which I want to investigate by next week, where some of these foreigners marry Gambians, and when they want another girl, they start treating them like dogs. But even the girl does not talk about it. Why? Because the way, when you are a gold digger and the gold mine collapses, you die there. People should believe in God. Lingawara am. It's better you have it in a more sane, godly and decent way than to get what you don't deserve the wrong way and then incur the anger of the Almighty Allah. Sometimes you see somebody, he's a handsome man, but he has no pocket. The pockets are full, there is nothing. Cause you say, hey, my dear, look at me and look at yourself. You think I will talk to a foolish man like you? You calling him foolish because you don't think you don't think he has anything. And then you go and look at a rhino who has money, a buffalo in fact. And he say, yes, Makota, I refer to the way I'm not halis. And then whatever the buffalo is doing, maybe he ends up in prison. And then the foolish man becomes a wealthy man. And then he starts saying, the man will not look at you. You think he's a foolish man? Go and follow after the buffalo with the money and see whether it's going to last. I think what Allah has given to you is better than what you have gotten the wrong way, through evilist way, satanic way. And now we are encouraging our daughters to do evil, offend the Almighty Allah for us to live in comfort. This comfort is going to be short-lived. That is why sometimes in the middle of the rainy season, you saw a whole household burnt to ashes. Because there are I'm not saying all the houses that are burnt, but there is always a reason for what happens. You see, this world, let us believe in ourselves. It's not only growing what you eat, but know that Allah gives and Allah can give you. What Allah has destined for you even before you were born, there is nobody who's going to prevent you from having it. Let us, for God's sake, believe in God, worship the Almighty Allah. Beg Allah, not anybody. Whatever you ask the Almighty Allah to give you, you are going to get it. And I want anybody in this country who has ever bribed me from the time I was in the army up to the time I became a head of state with anything, come forward and say I bribed this. I started I started from sergeant. I was an acting sergeant for almost 6 years. But I commanded units as a sergeant. And I think Sol Gassama can tell you. Oh yeah, ask him. And most of the outriders, one is here, I train them. If you see me on a motorbike, you'll be surprised. Yes. Acting sergeant. Because they wanted me to leave. And I told them that when the rank would come from Allah, And so nobody also would cross my line and get away with it. Senegalese or Gambian, they all know me. So, and I'll never accept corruption. It's exile because they were the biggest drug dealers in this country. And drug dealers were also untouchables. There is even police officers used to run away from the checkpoint because if they don't move, these people will knock them down and nobody is going to say anything about it. And some of the people, if you stop them, they just go to the nearest telephone booth, call, and you are dismissed without any justice. And so those people are in self-imposed exile, talking nonsense on the internet. Do I give a damn? Talk to anybody and let me see anybody who is man enough, or any government that is man enough to come and say they are going to remove me. Only the Almighty Allah will remove me. Because if you have things, if you have children, and they know that daddy is a thief, and then you tell your children everybody does it. Obviously when they grow up thinking that stealing is not bad. And if where there is corruption, there cannot be development. We have seen 30 years of Jawara. How many hundreds of millions of dollars were given to the government, and nothing has been realized in terms of development. How is it possible that Jawara for 30 years didn't build one single high school? Not even one referral hospital. 30 years. But maybe he was following the British, his masters, because the British also were here for 400 years, in order to build for us 2 hospitals. And now they're talking about democracy and good governance. What is good governance for? It's to get people out of poverty into freedom. Freedom is not only freedom of speech. It's freedom from hunger, freedom from poverty, and freedom from diseases and great health care. Where whatever is available is for everybody and not a few individuals. The British were here, how many? 400 years. Imagine if they trained at least every year 25 Gambians. Gambia would have been 100% literate for 400 years. But they didn't do that. And now, 20 years today, of my government, we have about 70% literacy rate. And today, 98% of the children are going to school. And they say, oh, I'm a dictator. Who cares? Yeah, I'm a dictator. But a dictator that develops this country is better than a democrat who talks about freedom of everything. Things that even animals would not do. Oh, men marrying men. I have not even seen frogs, 2 male frogs mating. I have never seen 2 male fish. I have fish, I have frogs, I have turtles. I have donkeys here. Because they tell you a donkey, you think, oh, it's an insult. But donkeys are better than certain people that call themselves human beings. Because if you marry the same sex, you are going against the will of the Almighty Allah, and I'm not going to tolerate that. If that is what a dictatorship is, I am a dictator that will lead my people to heaven and not hell. And that is what I'm doing. Now what? If you are talking about freedom, yes, how can you call people free when 80% are illiterate? When you have a population, 99% have never got a diploma. In those days, if you have secondary 4 credit, you are the king. And then you have high school, all levels like me. Oh yes, secondary 4 go, all levels. And then somebody goes, yeah, I was in Form 6, A levels. Hey. And then somebody goes, yes, I have a diploma. And the guy say, hey. And then somebody say, I have a BA. But today, if you have a BA, it's nothing in this country. Well, it's a degree, but now people are talking about a master's degree. Now, they have master's degree. Within 2 years, they want to have a PhD. That's not going to happen. Because why? If I sponsor you up to master's level, don't ask for further sponsorship. Because you have other Gambians who do not have even a BA or a diploma. I'm going to give priority to those people. Because when you write to me, it shows how selfish you are. You have a BA or a BSc. You didn't even work for the government. You go for a master's degree, And that is still not enough. You want me to pay for you to go for a PhD, I'm not going to do that. So now my policy is those with BA, those who have not been to, those who do not have a bachelor's degree in whatever, I give priority to those people. Now, when I know that I've almost sent all of them, you go and work for at least 5 years with your BA, then we come back to the first people to have BA, or BSc, to go and have masters. But sometimes people are so self-centered that they think that they are better than other Gambians, and that is why when they apply for that, I have only one answer for you: it will never happen. Because now you are telling me that you are greedy, you are not considerate enough to think about those who have not even got a diploma, and you are thinking about yourself. It's not going to happen. So now look at it. Go around the country and find out how many people in those days. Hey. Yeah, I'm a dictator, and I love that. A dictator that anybody can write to and ask for help for whatever reason, irrespective of your political affiliation. Well, you know, Daura fled from the office. He was saved by the Americans. And when I went into the files, I have not seen a single request from somebody that was not related to him. And today, the dictator, everybody writes to the dictator. Students write, everybody writes. They come and see me, they go around me. In those days, even soldiers are not allowed, certain soldiers are not allowed to go very close to Jawara. Ask. Even some ministers do not have direct access to Jawara. But yeah, I'm with all these rabbits and ducks and lizards and
Cockroaches.
You say cockroaches. Well, I am told that Jatias is full of cockroaches. But what is a leader? You think if these people were not here, I will be a leader? A leader of a trees? No. So if you are a leader of the people, you should identify yourself with people. Bring yourself down to earth, because Allah does not want arrogance. Because no matter what I call myself, and no matter how I look low upon these people, all of us are going to be buried in the ground, not in the sky. And the only day we know who is better than who is when Allah says, Mr. and Mrs. or Miss to the right, and they start saying, oh, Mr. to the left, and Iblis will say, well, hell come to hell. Those who are going to hell, then I will tell them I'm better than you. But until that day, I'm here to serve the Gambian people and humanity and the Africans. And I will fight for freedom, and I'll fight for Islam, whether anybody likes it or not. And I'm not going to compromise on my principles. Give me any title, I don't care. What I care is the welfare of my people.
Mana? Ture. Wah kamu jual semua musik kan? Don't